Be like, yay, here we are. We are live with Debbie Britt. Yay!
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm good. Good to see you, Lisa.
Yes, you too. I guess I'm starting a new trend because last week we had a lawyer or a recovered lawyer, I
I
guess.
know.
So Jennifer Gilman. Yeah.
Yeah, I still
So
do it, so I'm not recovered.
not really.
I'll probably
But
always do it in some way.
But you know what? The thing that fascinated, not to just jump right in, but we're jumping right in.
So,
The thing that I found fascinating about your story when I was doing my due diligence is that is you didn't change. Like she's saying, if you're not happy, you can change firms or you can change what your her focus is, and
mhm,
you changed what your specialty was pretty much
mhm.
to and built your whole thing around what can I ask why that specialty appeals to you so much?
Well, here's how it happened, and I'm so proud and happy about it. This is the first time that I've really focused my practice in an area where the need came to me first. I was trained in law school to know certain things, and then I went to the first firm I worked for the first 6 years, and they told me what they needed done. We need you to
No.
litigate, we need you to do this or that. And then when I started my own practice in my hometown 6 years later, I kind of put out there what I wanted to do based on things I'd learned already or things that I thought would be fun or interesting. This practice area, focusing on elder law and traditional estate planning, wills and trusts, and things like that, really came to me. I had moved to a new area, and I, kind of put out my basic practice areas at that time were estate planning, family law, business law, kind of a general practice. But more and more estate planning clients were coming in, and then something additional happened. More and more of those clients started asking, kind of at the end of the meeting, well, what about my mom? What about my dad? What about nursing home? How do we cover these costs? What kind of planning do we need to put in place? And I started trying to find lawyers to send them to because that really wasn't my focus. I mean, I knew it was elder law. And back when I was in the metro Atlanta area, I kind of had, a few names, but I didn't really have anybody down here. So instead of finding somebody, which I never really did, close by, I decided to become that person that my clients were needing.
That's awesome though.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know my mother has Alzheimer's. We just found
I did
out. That's
not
amazing.
realize that.
Yeah, so I totally can understand because all of a sudden I've got big, not big problems, but my
Yeah,
mother was one of those that always said, when I want you to know my business, I'll be sure to tell you.
yes,
But she never really got to that.
right.
She instead just went, here you go. And I'm like, oh, and luckily she'd taken care of most stuff. But
It's a common
I can
story. Don't feel alone. It's a common story that
I
happens a
can
lot.
imagine so many people that their mother doesn't take care of most of the stuff though. That's probably why you get a lot of business, right?
Yeah. So many of my clients, the whole process begins with sons and daughters. I don't often find the senior coming to me directly.
Mm.
Might be because they have capacity issues, but it also may just be that, they've just gotten at a point in life where they're not really interested. They're not too concerned about it, or they need help understanding, or maybe working with setting appointments or being
Right.
driven. And so if I don't catch somebody in their 60s, 70s, and they get up into their late 70s, 80s, 90s, they're probably going to have a son or daughter contact me first. And that's how it's going to begin. So,
Yeah, this has been an adventure, that's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I just went through a thing and I'll admit I did something I wasn't comfortable with, and I'm never going to do it again. But my brother needed some paperwork signed because my father died, but they've been divorced for like 30 years. So he needed her to sign a document, and I didn't feel good about her capacity to
Yeah.
understand the document. But I got a notary who knew her from before, and we went and did it. But I'm not doing that again. I'll just sign because I've had
Yes.
power of attorney for 10 years.
Yeah. It can
But
create all kinds of problems later.
right.
And I
Yeah.
will say, and there's a lot of confusion surrounding this issue. Just because someone is diagnosed with, any sort of mental incapacity, whether it's Alzheimer's, dementia for some other reason,
Mhm.
Parkinson's can create some brain deficits, things like that, and other things. Just because there's a diagnosis and a diminished capacity doesn't mean necessarily that the person's totally incapable of signing. Sometimes people, you've heard of sundowners, maybe where things get worse in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Maybe they're fresh in the morning or right after meds, things like that. So if there's capacity in the moment, if they're understanding, if they can still read, understand what they're signing, then it still can be okay. But definitely earlier,
Because I
yeah,
you
definitely
did at that
earlier
moment.
on,
Yeah.
but
What would you
eventually people will lose that ability sometimes, and you should stick to, powers of attorney, or oftentimes, so I also have the probate area of my practice, and probate involves probating wills after people have passed, or probating estates if people didn't have a will, but it also involves going and getting guardianship and conservatorship for people who never put powers of attorney in place. So if we
Oh,
get a point where we've got a senior and he suffered a stroke and he doesn't come back mentally and he never did a power of attorney, we've got to go get
that's
court
hard.
authority to get anything done. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we did it like 10 years ago. And
wonderful.
she's
Thank
been
goodness.
totally fine. She
Yeah.
doesn't remember doing it though.
Doesn't matter. It was probably
Right. I
durable, which
know.
means it survived in capacity. That's exactly right.
I bet you run into this a lot, but I keep thinking to myself, I'm certain I know what she wants because she lived with me for 25 years here. We talked about all kind of stuff all the time. So I'm trying to stay certain in what she told me.
Yeah.
Because she
But
changed her mind now.
to ease your mind a little bit, here's my approach to that. And it's just kind of my opinion, formed over years of experience and thinking about this. Um, it's very kind and very prudent, for you to be trying to say, what would she want? What would she want? However, when she reaches the point of being incapacitated, if you've got power of attorney or if you've gotten guardianship or conservatorship from a court, you reach the point of replacing her, kind of like, for a child. When you're a
Right.
parent and you have a minor child that's 16, the 16-year-old wants to do A,
Right.
but you as the parent may decide on B. And, that kind of happens in the senior setting, is that you'll reach a point where the senior may want to do A, but that's not best. And you may have to be in the difficult position of trying to decide, well, I've got to do B because this is better.
Well, I can so relate to that because I have a 16-year-old, come to think of
Oh my
it.
gosh. So you're what they call the sandwich generation,
Oh,
where you're taking care of children at the same time that you're taking care of a parent. So you're the filling in.
yeah. Yeah, it's a I adopted when I was 42. I adopted a newborn. And it was in the family. It was in the family. It was an awesome thing because I felt like I really did something keeping a child in our family. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was awesome. And it was a good experience for me because I didn't necessarily want to have babies once I saw the whole video in high school.
Ah, you're like, I don't need
I'm like, "Ooh, I don't think so." I'm like, "That does that? Ooh, I know." So, I thought that ship had sailed, but 42, the only thing and you have I know you have 2, right?
I do. I have a
Oh,
26-year-old daughter and a 28-year-old son.
wow.
My daughter is my roommate and my best friend and my legal assistant. So
Oh,
we
that's
have a lot of
awesome.
time together. My son and I, we don't really see each other. He lives out in Colorado. We talk, but Yeah, I'm definitely closer with her
Yeah, this is
these
it's
days anyway.
I didn't realize I thought I was a tough cookie, let's put it that way. I thought I'd been through some stuff. I had no idea what a little baby can do to your
Yeah, well, and I think once you have
Oh.
teenagers, you realize babies were easy. I I think once you get teenagers, you realize babies were easy. Babies
Right.
kinda stay where
Well,
you put
right.
them. You know, they do it, you
Well,
break
and back
the
then
code.
I didn't realize I had done speaking where I got in a truck and went all over the country on my own, slept in the truck. I mean, I'd done some, hard lots of hours driving, all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I thought I can do without some sleep. Oh no, I was so wrong. Oh, I was a mess right off. It was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but, yeah, we muscle through that though, so that's awesome. And now he's 16, we're just learning the driving and all that, so
Okay.
yeah. But yeah,
Well, and
so I do have the both. Go ahead.
it's amazing how they come out with their own personalities. My son has kind of been ready to go and independent from the time he was born. I mean,
Oh, wow.
he was always the one putting together play dates or, things later in life or whatever. We used to kind of call him the closer because he would gather all his friends and he would get all the details done, get the permissions in place, whatever. And so he's kind of one thing. And then my daughter has always been a little bit more of a rules follower, and she's agreeable and adaptable, and from situation to situation. So I mean, and they were like that. I can say that about them as adults, but they were like that as children. Like their basic personalities have been the same, the
Oh,
whole way
that's
through. And both are
neat.
great, traits to have. It's just very different.
That's neat, and yeah, my kid, I I don't know about all kids. I just know this one kid, you know what I mean? So because
Mhm.
I didn't have more than one, sometimes
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's right. So anyway, I'd watched too much Lifetime TV, so I had
Oh, no.
chains on the top of the doors because I thought kids wandered off and left when you didn't, and I was alone, so I didn't want to miss hearing it or sleep through the kid leaving.
Yeah.
Right? But the reality of the situation is the kid doesn't do anything without telling me. So like in the
Oh,
middle of the night, even when the kid was little, Mom, 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 I gotta go to
yeah.
the bathroom now. And I'm like, oh, go right ahead. You have to tell me that. So there
It's
was no
better
way
way
the
to
kid
look
was
at it.
leaving.
Prepare for one problem or 5 problems, and then it's gonna be a
That's
different problem. It's gonna be the one you did not prepare for.
Oh, so he stayed here while I was on my trip. He's recently staying by himself more.
Yeah.
And I went somewhere for work last month and somewhere this month. And some of my friends are like, "You're leaving a 16-year-old home alone? You're gonna have a party or whatever." And
Yeah.
it's the same as he was when he was a baby. If he goes and walks the dog, he texts me and tell me. He
Aw.
does. I know. So I'm
Yeah,
I'm
you're
I'm
close.
I'm glad that it's working out good because he's willing to, and before Grammy was here, I didn't feel as funny about it, but now he's staying in the house by himself. But that's funny, there's a name for that. So do you see a lot of people that are like sandwich people like me?
Yeah, I do. I do. I probably see more people that maybe don't have younger kids still, like,
Yeah.
because I think and that might be because people are living longer, and so I'm seeing people, I have many clients in their 90s,
Oh
um,
yeah.
and so their children then are in their 70s or
Right.
60s, so it's not so much the sandwich, you know?
Right.
Um, the sandwich is more like if people are in their 40s, 50s, and they still have young children at home, it might not be time yet to worry about their parents.
Right.
But sometimes, yes, and those are the good situations because my thing is, I really want to get people in early. The earlier we can plan, the earlier we can get things like powers of attorney in place, healthcare directives, just some different kinds of
This looks up
trust, assets planning, things like that. The more strategies we have available.
and it sneaks up quick.
Hmm.
Too. And believe me, our family is not like talk talk to each other, let's have some emotions kind of.
Yeah.
No. My mother always taught me if you have an emotion, you stuff that back down where it belongs. You
Yeah,
don't parade that around.
that's
So
crazy, as we say
it's
in the South.
crazy, but that's the way it was. So, but we did talk about what she wanted, and it wasn't like one conversation. It was just like a random over time thing,
Yeah, that's good though, because you
which is
know.
awesome, right? Because then I knew. I think the only hard part is because there's two. There's me and my brother, and I always thought that he would not understand her as well because I lived with her or
Hmm.
we lived together. However, she had a mother-in-law apartment on my house, is what it was. But
Nice.
I was afraid he would have a big opinion or something. But that hasn't been the case. She was in the hospital and they called him while I was away last trip. And
Hmm.
he just said, "My sister makes these decisions." So
Yeah,
I was like,
he's
"Oh,
become
good."
very comfortable with letting you have it. So
Yes, and I'm happy. Do you run into where sometimes the siblings fight probably?
oh,
Oh, I
it's,
knew.
that's what the
Oh,
probate part is, and that's why I never will say I'm not a litigator because I end up in court often, and we
oh,
have objections and fights so between brothers and sisters over who gets to be what for dad,
no.
and that's on the care side. That's while the person's still alive. After the person passes and there's money involved, it's even worse
No.
because the parent's not there to kind of, I don't know, like a lot of times the kids don't want to act up in front of the parents.
Yeah.
They don't want trouble with the parents and they don't want to
And
hurt the
you're
parents.
talking kids that are 50 and 60.
Yeah, the 50 and 60-year-olds. But once that parent is out of the picture and it's just a pot of money to fight over, then sometimes the claws come out. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. People always talk about how divorces, family law, and all that is, drama. So is probate court, very much so. So
Oh,
the more we can write down, the more we can put that to rest. Because if the person has written a will or written a trust and designed it the way they wanted to ahead of time, there's not as much arguing available. And in
available.
fact, we do a lot of revocable living trust, so where we avoid probate altogether, which is wonderful.
I like what you said, not available.
Yeah, yeah, those arguments are not available.
I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but I have a feeling probably because you're a strong, successful woman.
Thank you.
I personally, even lately, like my father, I was estranged from for 30 years, died. He hadn't updated anything. I was
Oh,
still in the
no.
will. My mother was still in the will. That's the document we had to sign.
Yeah,
Anyway, we both just didn't want anything. We wanted out of it. And I had a feeling that people usually fight a lot because that lawyer said she hadn't run across that before.
you were just like, you can have it. Yeah,
Oh, yes. I'm like, what's the easiest way to give it all to my brother? Because for one thing,
right.
he didn't have anything, so it was an easy decision to make.
Yeah,
But even if he did, what I think you'd agree with me on is I feel so good when I earn my own money. That money feels so good. I no
yeah,
longer want to win money. I no longer want to inherit money. I don't want the other kinds of money because I don't think it would feel as fun and good. It feels so, oh, you you don't mind.
I'll take it in whatever form. I don't want to argue about it. I don't want to
Oh,
ask for
yes.
it, beg for
Yeah.
it, maneuver for it.
Oh,
Have to
no,
jump
no.
through hoops for it. If
Yeah.
someone wants to shower me with something, I'll take it. If,
I
like I said,
hadn't
we
thought
have
of
any
that.
arguments, but
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
want
not
to.
willing to buy lottery tickets or
No,
anything,
me
no.
either. I don't do strings. I don't do requirements or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
No, it
but
was funny. I said to the lawyer, just think of it as us doing what he'd have wanted. Just because he didn't update the will doesn't mean he wanted me to have any money.
well, that peace of mind is worth everything, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I thought that was funny, but that gave me the impression that probably there's lots of fighting. So,
definitely. And, sometimes I always say they come out of the woodwork, like we've got
mm,
a second marriage. The husband left everything to this new wife, hasn't talked to the estranged kids for whatever reason, like for 20 years. Like just haven't even talked to the kids. Kids haven't talked to him, but
and
those kids
they
show up and they want their money.
no.
They attack the will. They say that new person get everything. They want to read the will and make sure they weren't mentioned in it in some way. Yeah,
Oh,
after 20
geez.
years is that entitlement attitude that is
Yeah.
so prevalent these days in so many corners, unfortunately. And probate is one of them. Is kids have a very entitled, kids of any age have a
Oh,
very
wow.
entitled attitude about inheritance. And I've never thought that. I've never thought my mom or dad owed me anything. You know?
Oh, no, no, and especially because we were estranged for 30 years, I know for sure if he wanted me to have anything, he'd have come up here and gave it to me.
Yeah. I did
You know what
kind
I
of
mean?
want
So
my
that's
mom's
fine.
rescue box, and I think my brother's wife got it. I'm a little bit hurt about that, but
No.
little sentimental things. But as far as money
Yeah,
goes, like I don't care.
no.
I'll make my own
No,
money.
and yeah, and
Like,
I don't even, and I thought probably my mom was so good about planning paperwork wise all of the stuff that when it came to the stuff at her house, I kept saying we waited to get her in assisted living for 15 months. And I said, this is a good time to go through your stuff to make sure where what you want goes where you want it or whatever. But it
yep.
was too late. I didn't realize that she was so she didn't like she didn't remember stuff, right?
Oh,
She's not so like this little bench she got fixated on was worth a lot of money and it was like a Dollar Tree thing. And then
okay.
something
Yeah.
that actually was worth something she didn't so she, so
Yeah.
she's
So
basically
now
just
you
like, no, I
have
don't want to deal with it anymore. Yeah, I should have. It's just that it seemed to sneak up on me. I don't know how that
yeah.
happened. I thought she was fine,
Because you're not
or
thinking about it. You're just living life and not thinking about the after. So it's
well,
just human
yeah.
nature.
So for everybody listening, yeah, it sneaks up on you faster than you're thinking about. If
Mhm.
you're going to need to be included in your parents' arrangements, as
Yeah.
far as you're going to need to know what they are.
Yeah. And
Because
I
it,
tell people, like, the person doing it, making their documents, making their wishes known is truly a gift. Regardless of what you're giving, the act of doing the planning is a gift itself, because
yeah,
you don't leave your loved ones in the dark about what they would have wanted. They can handle your affairs with a clear conscience while you're alive, making medical decisions and other arrangements, living arrangements and things, or after you pass away. So preserving that voice while you can is really, really a gift to whoever you're deciding to give to.
no, I agree. If you guys have things you want to ask or say to Debbie, just let me know. I am reading the comments. I see Lori, I see Penny, and let's see. I Facebook user, if they didn't say specifically give StreamYard permission to use their name, it says Facebook user. And
Ah,
one of those said, I had to do a guardianship for my special needs son when he turned 18 years old. He is not able to make his own decisions. So
right.
you don't deal with that as much as you do
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
the
That's a great point. So, elder law is a little bit of a misnomer in that elder law attorneys definitely help with special needs cases. We will, that very situation where you've had, as a parent, you've had the control and the decision making for an autistic child or another special needs type situation. And when they're about to turn 18, you do want to start getting it together. In our state, in our county, we like to get that application together, but actually make sure that the hearing doesn't happen until after they're 18 so that they can legally be served. And, because it is adult rights that you're taking away from an adult person. So, we like to have that be after their 18th birthday, but it's a good idea so that we don't have too much of a gap in that authority to go ahead and start it early. And then we do, for people that want to leave inheritance to special needs individuals, many times those individuals are receiving government benefits. They may be receiving Social Security disability or Medicaid, or something else. And we want to make sure that we are not interfering with those benefits. So we'll do special needs trust. So if you are doing your will, we might build a special needs trust into your will if you were wanting to leave to a special needs nephew. that might be receiving government benefits, or a senior that might be receiving nursing home Medicaid. We have husbands and wives a lot of times that we want to make sure that if the wife is in the nursing home, the husband doesn't leave money to the wife. If we've gotten the wife on nursing home Medicaid, it messes up the whole deal. So we either skip her and leave straight down to the children, or if he wants to leave a little money around for his wife for quality of care, we've set that up in a special needs way where it can pay for things that the government won't pay for. And those are called third-party special needs trusts, and that's a big part of elder law practice.
That comment, by the way, was from Jennifer Woolsey. Didn't I just see you in California, Jennifer? I'm pretty sure I did. She was out there. We were at an Avon 2022 kickoff. We stayed at the Pretty Woman Hotel, the Regent Beverly Wilshire. Fancy. Yeah, that is Jennifer. I just saw you there. It's funny because I knew everyone in the room because I've been doing this for like 40 years. But you don't get a chance to speak to everyone because it's a couple hundred people.
Sure.
So sometimes I saw people there and I didn't get a chance to interact with them. So.
Yeah, but you still have that commonality, so you can still talk about it after.
Yes, yeah, it was fun. Did they have events like that? I saw that you're in a couple organizations that are specific, like National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys. Yeah. Do they have groups where you all can
absolutely? So I'm actually on the board of. We have Georgia State chapters, so I'm on the board of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys Georgia chapter. And we will get together, kind of centralized toward Atlanta. Usually, I'm trying to get them out to the beach where I live, but they're usually like closer into the metro area. And we do like educational seminars, put those on for other attorneys. And then there's the National Academy on a national level has an annual conference, and because of COVID, we haven't been able to travel for that, but this year we had a full virtual conference. They canceled it last year, but this year they did have it virtually, and it was amazing. We had like the main speakers were in a format like this, and then we had breakout rooms where 5 or 6 people got together and talked about a topic, and so it really helps us learn, and also helps us keep abreast of like what's happening across the country. So it's really cool. It's my favorite. I can't wait to go in person again.
I like doing virtual stuff too. And do you know, this happened with you, but I was better about not skipping when I was doing it virtually.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes in person, I wander off because I'm distracted.
No, I could do more in a day. When I to Zoom, I could update clients better. I could have status conferences and screen share their documents and do things like that. And I was more efficient. I'm hanging on to it. I'm still trying to offer that to as many clients who will keep it around because it just keeps us moving. But I'm happy to have the in-person back so that it's not that we're required to be virtual. There's no substitute really for being in person. And I can't wait till the next conference I get to go to because I love to go.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. It seems I like to travel because I learn stuff when I travel, and I learn, and I'm an introvert, so having to interact with everybody is good.
I would suggest you for an introvert.
Because maybe it's because you're defining it different than I am.
Okay.
So introvert is where I get my energy from being alone.
Okay.
Like if you're in a big group, do you have to go back to the room to recharge, or can you sit around talking with a bunch of people and recharge?
Yeah, I want to sit around with the people.
So then you're an extrovert.
That's come back out.
It's wherever you get your energy from is how I define it. So
okay.
I can be around a lot of people and it's awesome. But if I don't go back to the room after a while, it's overwhelming.
Okay, gotcha.
So I can just keep it and all that. I can do all that stuff. I think introvert and extrovert gets confused with outgoing.
Okay.
Or something, you know what I mean? But to me, that means where you get your energy from.
Okay, that's a much better way to put it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's confusing though, isn't
And I
it?
don't mind a little alone time. Obviously, I need alone time to do some of my deeper studying and writing and, performing my work. And sometimes I like that peaceful time of, like, I love addressing Christmas cards while I listen to Christmas music, with a glass of wine or
Nice.
whatever. I love that. But my energy, definitely, that's a great way I'm going to remember that. My energy comes from my interaction with people. And I'll notice that if I go too long without having regular lunches or networking events where I actually go and show up, we all get busy and we all kind of stop doing that sometimes as much. I get kind of down. I don't feel as positive about what I'm doing or as confident about myself or my practice. And I get out and I have this lunch with that person. I come back from lunch, I'm just all like excited and ready to do something new.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it because then I don't I feel bad. But it's a characteristic. It's not a
No,
good thing or
yeah,
bad thing. It's just what. And now that I know it, it makes me feel better because I can control, you know what I mean? If I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, I just need to be alone for a few minutes. So that's
right.
easy to do. I
And if
can
I'm
just do
starting
that.
to feel lonely, I can just invite some more people to lunch.
Yes, yeah, there you go. I wish I lived closer. Your island sounds awesome.
Amazing. It's
So
paradise.
from what
Don't
I
tell
read,
anybody.
you decided to to I like to call it I released my husband to move on to another opportunity. And you did that too, but then you made the move over to the island, right?
Well, and I always say, when I went to the mastermind with, Bob
Oh,
and Jupiter earlier in the year, I said that I ran away to the beach, and he loves to correct me and say I ran to the beach. He
oh,
knows I ran to my
that's
next,
smart though. Yeah.
opportunity. But I was sad. I was empty nest. I was kind of stalled in my practice. I was a little bit bored with it. I wasn't making the money I was wanting to make. I was just a fish in a pond of lawyers. There were plenty of us. I was one of them. It was fine, I guess, but I just wasn't happy. And so I said, well, this cannot be next chapter. I got to get out of here. And we have a coast. Georgia has a coast. A lot of people don't realize that. And so I could come to the beach without having to get a new law license in another state. I love Florida,
Ooh,
but coastal Georgia, I didn't have to take a test.
yeah.
So I just came on down to this new town. I didn't know anybody, and I just started over.
So that's awesome.
It has been. It has
I'm
been.
not sure who I hero worship more, you for doing that, or did you know Kathy Tajanel made up her last name?
No, I did not know that.
She did. I know. So I hero worship her already
That's
because of
cool.
that. Because of course I ended up keeping my second husband's last name because I was using it professionally, and to change would have been
Yes, I have
um,
my ex's last name too, and the kids were
uh,
teenagers. Um,
oh, so yeah.
and so I didn't want my name to be different from them. And also, my law school diploma, all my business cards, my businesses, everything has that name. And it also starts with
And,
B, so it's high in the alphabet.
and relatively easy to spell.
Yes, yeah, that's fine. People
Yeah.
can't hear it well. Like in restaurants, I usually say Debbie instead of Britt, but for some reason people can't hear the Brit. I don't know
Oh,
if it's too
yeah.
short of a word or something. So I always say Debbie. But then, yeah,
No, I think yeah. There was no
it's a
getting around it. To tell you the truth, now I've had this name now for, of course, a lot of years. I've been even
yeah,
divorced almost 10 years. It's mine now.
exactly.
I just figure It's nothing to do with him. It just happened to be
That's
there.
exactly right.
Mine now.
I've been name for way more time than I was ever my maiden name. I mean, I got married
Hmm.
when I was 20, so this
No,
has
me
been my
too.
name for way more a part of my
I,
life.
the only unfortunate part is my ex still lives in town, so
Oh,
um, people will say, "Are you related to?" And then
yeah,
say it, and I'll be like, "Oh, I want to say no right now, so bad." and last time somebody came here, oh, I know, some guy was taking some shells or something, and he said, were you married to, and I'm like, yeah. And he said, I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh no, because that's what I get is like bad stories. And then I have to say, oh, I'm sorry. And my assistant, she said, don't feel bad. Now they know why.
Yeah,
They don't think you're the one because of the story.
exactly.
So well, that's a good point.
All cleared up.
Well, I just didn't like apologizing for his bad behavior when I wasn't even married to him.
Yeah. I don't get that anymore since I moved down here, but there is a dentist here, and I doubt she's related, but it's possible, I guess, to his family. But she's got the same last name, and she has similar hair coloring and everything, and she does a lot of
Ah,
advertising. And so, especially my first couple of years down here, people always thought I was the dentist, which
oh
let
no.
me have a little bit of a joke, because I would say, no, I'm an attorney. I don't hurt as bad as the dentist. No, little lawyer joke there. So.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting in your profile too that you originally were thinking about being a college English professor.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah. So,
know.
and it was your in-law that. No, sorry about the cat. Oh,
It's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, my father-in-law, he had an English degree and then he had done some law school, but he didn't finish. He was got in the insurance industry, and we were always debating things. Like, I don't know, he was smart and he was just a guy that I enjoyed talking to and debating issues with and things. And he was like, you're just too good at arguing, and you'll our money probably, definitely. And so he said, just go to law school instead of, more English. And I was like, well, maybe. And he was like, well, just take the test. And so I did. And my brain liked that test. I did very well in that test. Like, it was made for how my brain works in there. So I scored really, really high, and I was able to get a scholarship to Emory Law School, part 75% scholarship. So that was pretty cool.
Really
So that's just
awesome.
history.
And that was your father-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
isn't that funny how sometimes they play a part in the story? Did he realize that he was that you made a decision based on something he said?
I think so. It was kind of in the family,
Oh,
like I
that's
gave him
sweet.
credit. I gave him props. And then I
Was
had a philosophy professor that I give credit for going to Emory, because I don't know, I guess I just wasn't confident enough. So I was talking about, going to law school, and then what I'd scored on the test and everything. And I had this application filled out for Emory and for some state schools, and because Emory was private, very expensive and very hard to
oh
get into.
yeah.
And but it was my philosophy professor undergrad. He said, just bring it to me the next class. I want to see it. And so I brought it in, and I'm like, I don't know, I can't afford it, if I can't, get a scholarship or something. And he took it. He took my application and put it in the night drop on the last day of the deadline
Ooh,
to apply.
wow.
So it really is important when somebody believes in you, like, recognize it, and I guess give them a chance to believe in you, because he did. So I definitely credit him for getting that scholarship, because I might not have even applied.
Well, I got to tell you something. My part of my story is that don't wait for someone else to believe. Go ahead and believe in yourself.
Okay.
Because my ex is the one that this last ex. I yeah. Don't judge. I've had.
That's all. I'm not judging.
I'm not
I'm
gonna.
waiting for my next one.
Oh no! I catch and release now. Highly recommend. But anyway, so my last ex, I had lost my secretary job, and I had never even thought about doing Avon full time. I didn't know anybody making full time money doing that, and I just didn't want full time money. I mean, I've always wanted to have a lot of money, and he said, "Why don't you do more with the Avon thing you've been playing around with?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, you simple man." As if. And he's like, "Oh, you're really good at it. You could really do this." And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, he believes in me. This is awesome." And I actually built this business, and I'm number like in the top 10 for 2 decades over
Yeah.
that comment. I know, but I'm not sure I would have. believed in me enough to do it if he hadn't
Mhm.
have believed in me first. And then it was funny because a few years after that, he heard me telling that story to somebody on my team, how he believed in me and all this. And he, after I hung up, he said, "You don't go around telling people that, do you?" And I said, believe it or not, that comment at that time in my life, that one comment at that one time made that much difference. And he said, "I didn't mean it." He said, "You were snot bubble crying. I was just trying to make that stop."
Gosh.
He said, "I didn't think you'd do anything with it."
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I didn't think you had the skill at all."
Put us
So,
on different paths. I mean,
well, and I think it's good to have that happen. But now looking back, I wish I had believed in myself more, because why did it take him to say,
yeah,
"Oh, you can do this"? Why didn't I just put my stake in the ground and say, "Of course I can do this. Why
yeah,
not?"
yeah.
Yeah. And I guess everybody probably can't do that. Maybe I'm one of those that couldn't have without it.
Well, I mean, I just think too that we don't live alone. I mean, we're not here on this earth by ourselves. And so I think part of what we're supposed to do is also listen in our environment. We're supposed to listen to the negatives and the positive and be, I guess, insightful or just be open to possibilities
Maybe I
that
was
we
meant to
receive.
believe it. Yeah,
Do you know
meant to
what I mean?
believe it, whether
That's
it
what
was
I'm
true or
trying to
not.
say. I'm not explaining it very well, but I just think it would be kind of odd for it to come completely 100% totally from the inside because we
Right.
don't live alone. We have influences. We see TV, we hear music, and we read books, and we go to school, and we have friends and family. And so all of those things come in, and then, it's our job to kind of pick and choose. What does all that mean? What are we going to give importance to?
Well, I could have believed it because I wanted to believe it too.
Right,
That's
exactly. That's what I'm saying. You get the credit too. Absolutely.
it was just so funny because he's like, "No, I didn't think you'd do
That's
anything."
hilarious. Well,
Right.
my entry into elder law, I said it was organic, and I said that I've been thinking about it because people had started asking me about it, which is true. But to actually make the leap and really start it and really make sure that I was going to, I guess reinvent or enhance or improve, expand, maybe that's the word, my practice to include elder law. It was somewhat self-serving at a time too. I had to evacuate for a hurricane, and I hadn't lived here very long, and I was wondering like, what's going to be like? Like, is it going to be damaged when I get back? Is anyone going to come and want my services? What are they going to be coming to me for? Are they going to want to do their estate planning, when they just had a hurricane? And I was looking on Facebook. I was just kind of scrolling, and an ad came about from Elder Law College, which is an attorney. Solkoff Legal down in Florida has put together this amazing program to help teach lawyers become elder law attorneys. And they had this conference they were planning for the following month, and it was too expensive. I couldn't afford it. I hadn't been down here long enough, but I called, I found out what the price was, and then I didn't let go of it. I called them back and I said, could I work at the conference? Could I work, could I exchange something of value? Because I don't, we just had a hurricane and I've just started a new practice in a new area. And they said, no, we're set. We don't really need anything, but we'll finance it for you. And so they just spread the fee out over a 12-month period,
Very nice.
right? Just because I asked.
Just because
So,
you asked. Well,
yeah.
so good of you. I'm not sure I'd have done that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It
So I'm so
was.
glad that I did that. I mean, and I'm so glad that they said yes and had an idea. And now, I mean, I just love them. I've been back to their advanced conference and I'm a monthly member with them and we share ideas and I'm going to write for their newsletter. I mean, it's just wonderful. It's just
I
all
like
because of
the
that.
fact that so when something comes like an opportunity, now you use the filter of elder law to decide, must be, because even the charities that you're participating in fit your
Yeah,
practice.
I do like the synergy that comes from having combined focus on things. I mean, not so much that it has to be that all the time, but I had the opportunity to maybe, help the Humane Society. I mean, who doesn't want to help little puppies and kittens, right? Or, children, blessings in a backpack where they've got food to go home for the weekend. There's a popular organization around here. There's a place called Operation Bedspread, and they want to make sure that every child has a good bed to sleep in, at night. And those are great causes, but I feel like I make more of an impact focusing on the Alzheimer's cause. This next year, I'm adding the focus of Parkinson's because that has become more prevalent. I'm seeing more and more of my clients facing that in their families. And also, I have some family history with Parkinson's, so I'm kind of am listening out in case it ever comes my way. And so I just feel like that synergy that comes from having a reason to care, from, very direct examples in my daily life, whether that's personal or business, just makes sense. So I can make more of an impact rather than spreading it out to all these things that are great, but they're just not necessarily, my primary focus.
No, and I think that's smart, because when that way your potential customers and your regular clients know that you feel strongly about the whole focus, not necessarily just earning money off the focus.
Just the documents. Yeah.
Yeah. So it actually enhances your I don't know, well, it makes you look more like an expert in your field.
Yeah. Well, and I do become more of one, honestly, because I learn from all these families that I come into contact with. They're not all my clients, but I learn from, this article that I read from the association, or I get more information about this research or awareness. There's a brand new Parkinson support group in our area that just has started. I was thinking about starting one, and it got started, and now I don't have to start one. So I just went. I went to the very first meeting. There's something so fun about being at the first meeting of something. And it was, it was at a local church here, and it was last week, and then there's going to be another one in January, and I'm on the ground floor, and it just feels really exciting because it's an underserved cause here. Like you could go south to Jacksonville or north to Savannah, but right here in our little corner, Brunswick and St. Simon's Island, and surrounding counties, we just haven't really had anything. So, it's very exciting to be with people that are really reaching out to each other and wanting to share and, make each other's lives better. And always, the goal is finding cures for these things. So, it all starts with one person.
That's so relevant. I should probably look around here. I bet they have groups of kids that, what we end up doing is like where she's at, the assisted living. It's gorgeous, by the way. It's not nursing home. She's not that.
Yeah, they're very different. Assisted living is very different than nursing home.
And this is so awesome. It's 16, and they live in this beautiful old Victorian, and it's got a solarium where they eat their meals and everything. It's gorgeous. Wonderful. And we waited a while to get in, but I know a couple of the other kids because
you saw I call them kids.
We talk to the kids, right? We talk amongst each other. And one of the other guys, he referred me to the place, and because his mother-in-law is there, and he's my handyman guy, the one that does all the work here at the house. So, and he and I are the same age. It's funny, but so he's like, talk to my wife about the stuff though, because he doesn't want to talk. No, yeah, but because I wasn't prepared necessarily for her. We waited a long time to get in, and then the owner said to me, this first 6 months is going to be rocky. And I took that on board, but I didn't realize what he meant. And she called for a while, not wanting to stay and stuff. Right. Yeah. And he said, oh no, that's regular. So I was talking to the handyman guy, and he says, oh yeah, that's regular. Then, right. And then for a while, she was on like 10 times a day.
There might be programs for her. But there's also programs for you as caregiver, just to be able to get together with other caregivers, other kids, and talk about those things. You won't feel as alone. So
yeah, no, and that sounds like a good idea too. Yeah, because it's kind of a weird journey. Let's talk for a minute about Bob, though. That's what we have in common, is that we're both the Go Giver Success Alliance. And I don't know about you, but this was like the biggest thing that happened this year. Now that I don't know if that's good or bad, but at the,
It is. I don't know if you've heard me share or not, but I have had Bob's book, Endless Referrals, since 1990. My partner, that was my mentor at my firm, said, read some books and join a couple of organizations. So I think I joined like the zoo or something, like the Atlanta Zoo, and then something else. I can't remember maybe the Women's Chamber of Commerce in Atlanta, some couple of things. And then I got How to Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. And Covey's, 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, and Endless Referrals by Bob Burke. Those were the 3 books that I read that first year out of law school. And so it has been amazing to actually meet the author, of my favorite book from all those many years ago. And what I loved about that first book was the concept of the spheres of influence, like meeting one person, but that's roughly 250 people that they know, just that reach, and also quality over quantity. It taught me early on when I go to a networking event to not collect 50 business cards, but to have 3 great conversations. Yeah. And then the whole giving concept was, of course, touched on even early on in Endless Referrals. It's all about giving first and everything. But when the Go Giver series came out, of course, I got those books and read them. And then I got to a point where I felt like I could afford the time and the money investment to go to the mastermind. And I went to the mastermind.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. And then to join the Success Alliance, I don't think I've missed a week since I started.
Wow, I wish I could say that. I'm so upset when I miss.
I do not let my assistant, schedule over it. I mean, it's like 11 o'clock. I'm on with Bob Burke and friends.
You know what's funny though? I don't know. I have a thing where I feel like I'm not worthy because there's so many big, high flying people in the group in their industry.
Oh, like authors and these like videographers and these radio.
I know. And I'm like, oh, am I worthy?
I feel the same way, but I don't think Bob wants us to feel that way. And
no.
People like that way. So.
Isn't he tall though?
Yeah.
When you meet him in person, most people don't realize how tall he is. He's very tall. Yeah. I always feel like a garden gnome when I see Bob. It's like, hey, how's the weather up there?
Yeah, it was amazing. It's like last year I celebrated my 30th year of practicing law, and then the following year I got to meet Bob Burke. So what in the world is going to happen in 2022?
Oh yeah, and that seriously, I the investment to be part of that group has I already felt like I got my money's worth, if you want to look at it that way, right at the beginning and then the meetings and stuff have just been extra. But meeting so many different people in so many different professions that are at the top of their game, it's just Although I felt like I got my money's worth just listening to Bob brag about me.
I know.
I'm like, oh man, I could listen to this all day long.
I know.
Oh, and he remembers us all. It's great. I think I could use a little help with. He's got such an awesome memory for people's details.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
It is.
But so that's I missed last week because I was on my way to this other thing. So yeah. Do you have any?
Oftentimes it's the highlight of my week. It's like.
Do you have any traveling coming up?
Travel coming up? Just about 5 hours north to go see my dad. We take off. So December 15th is my last business day of the year. I always take a good long Christmas break. I like to reset, and so that
that's awesome.
Christmas, Delaney, my daughter, and I will go see my dad. And then the week between Christmas and New Year's, I just reorganize the house and get my planners out and make sure I've got, things set up for the new year and just kind of recharge.
Decompress.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not doing any more Zoo. You're my last guest for 2021. Thank you very much.
Everyone.
So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. This was a project for this year, so I've got 40 something shows with special guests.
Nice.
Um, Many of them were Success Alliance members, which was awesome that
Uh-huh.
everybody helped me out that way. Um, and the other thing I wanted to do, I don't know, this might be something you'd like to do too, is I have a YouTube channel and they're free. I did speaking for a while. I don't know if you've done that, public
Like,
speaking.
well, I mean, I speak all the time about my practice, but I haven't,
Awesome.
like, not for, I haven't been a paid speaker. I
Oh,
just do
okay.
a lot of
Um,
presentations, but
the I did it for pay for a while,
okay.
like a side gig kind of. But if you're speaking at all, even if you're not doing it paid, chances are you have some stories that
Mm-hmm.
you tell often and that you're known for. I do too, and
Yeah.
except I never put them anywhere. I didn't record them saying the story, and I didn't write about most of these stories. Some of them I did, but that's going to be my new thing for next year is the stories in
Okay.
bite size form, more like
Yeah.
3 5 minutes, something like that. So to make sure that I capture the stories, because watching my mother lose her stories has made me realize I should probably be saving my story. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
but I
cool.
think
That's really cool.
yeah, so I want to do that. I think I want to continue to do this, but I just want to make sure I get that done because
Yes.
I think, and a lot of people remember it and will ask me to say it if I'm speaking somewhere. Tell a
Mm,
story about your shoes or whatever it is. And
yeah.
I realized that I didn't put them anywhere. I don't have them recorded. I don't have them written. So
Yeah.
that's
That's great. I love that.
a good
I'm gonna
project.
try my focus next year if I'm trying to do anything different is I'm gonna try to be more live. I have, I'm very much live in the written word, attorney, English major, I live in the written word. And not everybody wants to read the written word all the time. They just want to hear it. And they want to hear it in story form, like you said, or in interview form, like bring another person in. So, have the financial planner come in, or have the CPA come in and talk about what's new and, the tax
Ooh,
laws and
you
things.
had the free lunch and learn.
Yes, I do on
Yes, I
Thursday.
love that.
I
That was a
do.
marketing thing. I love that.
Yes, so that came about. I had an assisted living facility ask me to come to a talk a few years ago, and the marketing rep and I came up with the title Seven Legal Documents We All Need. And it has become popular. People, if I go too long without having it, people will start saying, "When are you doing seven legal documents again?" It's become
Oh,
like a name
that's
thing that
awesome.
people are recognizing. Yeah, so it's really good. It's been really really helpful, and I give out a folder and I talk about each of the seven documents, and I give a little narrative about each of those documents, and I give a free consultation certificate. Normally, I charge for somebody to come in and have a consultation, but
Nice.
anybody who attends the presentation gets a free one-on-one with me. And people will come in with their folder to that consultation. They will come prepared and they usually leave a client.
Oh,
I
that's
mean, if I can
awesome.
get somebody in the seat, then they may or may not come to see me later. If they do come to see me, they usually, sign up and become a client. And so it's great.
You know, that's an awesome example of you're giving value prior to your getting. You're giving value with no expectation that it will turn into a client. You're just giving value, and it does turn into clients because that's how it works.
Yeah, and the
That's
other thing,
awesome.
the other way it works is sometimes I'm able to invite people in to be a guest with me, either by being a co-sponsor, maybe they'll pay a little bit to help me out with the event, or just by being my guest, or maybe even being in the audience and asking or answering a question, that comes up. But they get some exposure.
Yeah,
So I'm able to kind of help my colleagues as well, in other areas. So
no,
it's,
that's
it's good.
perfect.
I love
That is
doing it.
perfect.
Yeah.
So now we want to wrap up because we're at time, but if people can you mostly deal with only clients from Georgia?
Yeah, I'm only licensed in Georgia. So that's not to say that sometimes people that are in other states end up having parents in Georgia,
Oh,
or
yeah.
people in other states. move to Georgia. This is
Mhm.
quite a retirement destination here, our
Yes.
little island and this surrounding area. And so I do have a fair number of out of state clients. Somebody owns land in Georgia or their parents moved here, but they may live in Virginia or Colorado or wherever. So I do have a little bit of reach beyond here, but it does need to be legally, it needs to be, somehow tied to Georgia for me to do the practice.
People can, though, help you support the causes you love by
Absolutely.
reaching out to you on your website. That's in the
Of
scrolling
course.
bar. So,
Yes.
so if you love the same causes Debbie does, make sure you connect with her about those because she does a lot of work, and especially Alzheimer's and Parkinson's now.
Yes,
So if
there's
these
a
are
contact page, and so if you're ever just wanting to chat more, just fill out that contact, send me an email, and I'll reach out to you. I'd love to talk more.
that's awesome. So one last question. Everybody gets asked the same question. You know what's coming.
I do. I have my answer ready.
Oh, you even know what you want. Is it brownies, cookies, or sea salt caramels?
Sea salt caramels.
Oh, that's a winner. Sea salt caramels.
Yay.
I'm writing that right down here.
Thank you.
And I will send enough to make sure that your daughter gets some too. You'll
Thank
be like,
you.
no.
Very nice.
I put mine in the freezer because the kid doesn't like them frozen.
Okay. There we go.
Oh, you do like them? Don't like them salted. That's
Oh,
what I
no,
know.
that's
Yeah,
salt
the kid's right
caramel.
here.
So well. Hi,
Well,
kid in the background.
kid in the background. Yeah. Thank you very much, Debbie. I really appreciate the time. I'm going to have this up on YouTube, and I'll
Okay.
make sure to put in the comments for your website.
All
And
right.
also, I think that's it. So if you stay right there for a moment, I'll connect with you in the green room, but I'll end the broadcast right now.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for having me.